Hello, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Flow the Girl podcast, where I talk about an array of topics under that wellness umbrella. And today, I want to talk about knee pain and talk about ways to address knee pain that isn't really the norm or common. Like if people say they have knee pain, they're like, I'm getting older, or I have this injury or a past injury, or I'm going to go get a shot, or I'm going to go, the cortisone shot, or I'm going to take medications for it. But no one ever says, I'm going to increase my mobility every day, or I'm going to add more movement to my day, or I'm going to find the root cause of this and work on that to help my knee pain. Like no one ever addresses or thinks to address that root cause. And I mean, it's not your fault. Like we're taught, especially with big pharma, to just go get a medication to fix our pain. When in reality, that's not fixing the pain. That's just masking the pain. You're just putting a Band-Aid over it. So today I want to talk about that knee pain and a little bit on hip and low back pain as well. Like it's all interconnected. So it's hard to talk about one and not the others. So it may actually end up being a mix of different areas of pain. But first, if you've been here for the past few weeks, maybe not last week or the week before, but before that, I talked a lot about this cookie dough, this healthier cookie dough called dough. And this is really random, but I had a dream last night that I met Sabina, who is like the founder and owner of dough. Random, I don't know why. Anyways, I wanted to let you know that they have 2 new products back in stock because they sell out real quick, and they are their donut holes. They have the glazed and they have chocolate, and I'm going to get them and I'm going to try them. But if you would like to try any of their healthier cookie doughs, not that you have to have healthier all the time. I like to have regular, amazing homemade cookie dough, but sometimes you want to be health conscious of the ingredients that you're eating, especially when it's those sweet treats or you're trying to be more mindful of those ingredients. Dough is a great option for your cookie dough. And I've tried many healthier options for cookie dough, and this is by far my favorite. And I tried this like years ago, and every so often I just kind of kept getting it, and I always go back to this brand and this company. It's also women owned, all female owned, which is pretty cool, pretty badass. I've tried their chocolate chip. They're like peanut butter chocolate chip. They have this oatmeal cookie one or oatmeal chocolate chip one. All of them are just so good. Right now, my favorite has been the cookies and cream. You can eat it raw. You can bake it, whatever your heart desires. And they have a few other products as well. So go and check them out. If you would like to, then head over to www.eatdough.com/discount/Sophia10. So that's www.eatdeux.com/discount/SOPHIA10. Or if you just go to their website, just make sure to put in Sophia10 at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. And not only will you get a little discount, but to be quite honest, you will be supporting me financially and supporting this show because I don't make money from this. I've been doing this for 3 years. I haven't really been super hard trying to make money off of this podcast in different ways. I know that by partnering with different companies and being able to give you a discount and then I get a kickback, like that is one way to make money, but I don't really make any money at all from doing this. And it does take time. And so by finding and having this product that I love and just naturally love to share, then I'm so happy that I'm able to give you a discount. And then therefore I'm able to get just a small little kickback on the back end. So I appreciate you. If you do try it, let me know if you like it and what your favorite is so far. All right, here we go. Let's talk about knee pain. First of all, I want you to take an intake of your day. What's your activity level like? Do you sit all day? Are you pretty stagnant? Do you move around a lot? Are you getting a workout in? Are you taking walks throughout your day? Like, take a little intake of that first, and then ask yourself if you have pain anywhere. Maybe it's low back pain, maybe it is knee pain, and you might be thinking, well, if I'm sitting all day, why would I have any pain anywhere? But if you think about it, your body is stagnant. It's not moving. Our bodies are meant to move. And when we just sit in one position for so long, whether we're driving or watching TV or on our computer working or on our phone, we're most of the time probably hunched over, not having good posture, unless we're really thinking about it. And we're sitting in a way that is like basically promoting our muscles to become tightened. Like we're just still in one spot. Our muscles are just going to stay there rather than them being fluid and having movement within them. But I want you to think about this by a joint by joint approach. So we start at the ankles, and the ankles are supposed to be mobile. They're a mobile joint. Our first contact, it is our contact with the ground, from the ground up. We are standing and putting all of our weight on our ankles. So ankles need to be mobile, and then we get to the knees. So everything is attached here. So we go from the ankles into the knees. The knees are supposed to stabilize us. It's a stable joint. And then we move into our hips. Our hips are supposed to be mobile. If you're sitting all day, your hips are going to be immobile. So again, ankles, they're supposed to be mobile. Knees stabilize us. Hips are supposed to be mobile. And then we get to our low back, which is also supposed to stable us. And then we move into thoracic, which is mobile. And then scapula, which is another stabilization joint. So if we find that we have pain in a stable joint, so knees, hips, scapula, or shoulders, that means it's actually trying to be mobile to make up for the lack of mobility where it should be happening, where it needs to be happening, which is in those mobile joints, like the ankles or the hips. So for example, you might have a low back pain and that feels tight because your hips lack full range of motion, they lack mobility, and now the low back is taking on that extra load, and therefore you have pain. If we think about the knees, maybe your ankles have no or minimal mobility, and so now our knees feel that pain, feel that extra load. So then how can we address this? Well, creating more mobility in those mobile joints, or what should be mobile joints. Oftentimes I'll have people ask me what stretches they can do to help with knee pain or low back pain or different areas of pain. And while I can give different stretches, it's also important that we work on specifically mobility and not just stretching, not just static stretching through a muscle. Yes, stretching is important, but we need to make sure that we can create more movement in this mobile joint so that we can create more range of motion, create optimal movement patterns, and when going into workouts, being able to handle resistance throughout that full range of motion without pain. And by the way, I read this analogy a little while ago, and I really like it. If you've listened to this episode, or if you've listened to this podcast, you've heard me talk about how I hate when people say, oh, it's just a part of getting old. And I joke about it, we joke about it, because it's just kind of the thing to do. But it doesn't need to be a reason for your pain, or just to live with it, or just say, you know what, I'm just gonna survive through and just go about life. This pain is here, I can't do anything about it, and then not do anything about it. It just gives you that extra excuse and reason to say, well, I'm just getting old, and then not addressing any root cause of any pain, or to not make your situation better. If you have pain, your body's telling you something. It is a sign. Here's that analogy. If your child was crying, you wouldn't just say, oh, that's just a part of being a kid, and then let him be and not do anything about it or not find out what's going on. You would check to see what's wrong first and then go from there. Address the problem, address that root issue that's going on. So we can take that and apply it here as well. All right, so we've talked about how stretching is great, but not the only thing that we should be doing. Foam rolling as well is good. Like I show people and tell people different areas that they can foam roll that maybe they're tight to help release those muscles before their workout, after their workout, or just on a daily basis. But again, that's not the only thing that we should be doing. But foam rolling or doing release work can do a lot more than just stretching. But again, it's not fixing the problem. And this is where that mobility comes into play. So we can strengthen the right muscles and reduce that pain. So first you want to identify the root of where the pain is coming from. where's your pain, and then what is the joint that should be mobile. And usually it's going to be the ankles, the hips, or the shoulder joint that's going to need focusing, or all of them, a mix of all of them. Low back pain is usually an issue in the hip and a core stability issue. And I'm going to talk about low back pain in a different episode more specifically. So find where you lack that mobility, where you feel tight, where you feel like you don't have that movement, and go from there. You want to, number 2, pick a couple mobility exercises to increase that range of motion in those what should be mobile joints. Again, either the ankles, the hips, or the shoulder joints. And you want to address the weakest points first. I would suggest 10 to 15 minutes each day, preferably before your workout. So that way we're creating some movement before you do that workout. But the key here is going to be consistency, doing it every single day or at minimum every other day. And on days that you don't work out, still finding a time to take 10 to 15 minutes to work on that mobility. And then also making sure that we have that mind to muscle connection with whenever we're doing mobility drills or whenever we are going through our workouts. Because a lot of times, not only are muscles underactive, and so we have that creates that tightness throughout our bodies, but you might be overcompensating in other areas. You might be overactive in other areas. So then it's getting those to be less active and connecting our muscle, connecting our mind to the muscles that should be activating. And I mentioned consistency here, but frequency is also going to matter here. So not only every day, but if you can do it a couple times a day, that's going to be best. Practice them daily, multiple times a day. The more you practice them, the more you get better at it. And the more you're going to fix those improper movement patterns, and the more you're going to create that mobility, that full range of motion to have that optimal movement, not only day to day, but also in your workouts to help you reduce that pain. And then don't stop once you get there. You want to continue working at these so that way we can be proactive and have that routine, kind of like a routine maintenance versus waiting for a problem in order to fix that pain versus waiting for the problem to get worse and then doing it all over again. Lastly, I'm going to end here with a specific routine that you can go through to help with your knee pain and also hip pain as well. So first, I want you to foam roll or do release work. Maybe you have like a little orange ball. Maybe it's a foam roller of some sort. So again, this is only temporarily going to alleviate pain. It's not addressing that root issue, but we want to calm the nervous system. And so we're going to also take time to breathe as you do this foam rolling. One muscle that I haven't mentioned here today is the IT band. So the muscle that runs from your hip down to your knee, like attaches around in the front of your knee. And so you might have pain in the front of your knee. Maybe it is in the side of your hip there that you're having that pain. And so I want you to foam roll that muscle. And what's happening here is that your IT band is taking on stress and is tight and then pulls on the front of your knee or in the hip area because of your hips not having the stability. It's very unstable, doesn't have much mobility. And so then it's creating that knee or hip pain. So you're going to start at the top of your hip there, and the bottom knee or the bottom leg can be straight. Opposite leg, I like just cross it over. My foot is planted, so that knee is bent there. My foot is planted to help support, take pressure off of that, because a lot of times that muscle is so tight for people that when you put any pressure, it's going to hurt. It's going to be very discomforting. So you can use that other leg to kind of help you up, or even use your hand or your elbow to help you take some of that pressure off. The goal here is to be able to have both legs on that foam roller, putting pressure on that one IT band. And if it does hurt, it's very discomforting, then you know that this is something that you do need to address. So you're going to start by slowly rolling from the top of your hip down to your knee, and emphasis on the slow. A lot of times you see people foam rolling back and forth really fast. It's not really doing much. You have to make sure that you go slow, find the points that are very discomforting or that you feel really tight, and hold it 30 to 60 seconds. And breathing. This part is important because this is where we need to calm the CNS, that central nervous system, relax the body, and then slowly work down to the knee. And you can kind of play around with it, have some fluid movement with it. Maybe you move forward and backward, like just finding the areas that are tight for you. So we're working on that temporary relief. We're doing both sides. Then we want to work on mobility, choosing a mobility exercise. Is one of my favorite exercises that I program in probably every single program that I make for my clients is 90-90. And so with this, you are having, it's kind of like pigeon, but we have one leg in front at 90 degrees and then the back leg also at 90 degrees. And so we're working on internal and external hip rotation here. Very important that we first get good posture. You might find yourself leaning to one side. You want to use one of your hands to press into the floor and just straighten your body so you have that good pressure. That is step one. Right there, you might feel a stretch in your hips. You might feel it just by doing that. Secondly, you want to make sure that you are pressing your knee into the floor. Like this is where the connection comes in, where I talked about that mind to muscle connection. We really have to be intentional. I talk a lot with my clients about being intentional with exercises because you can go through a movement and not feel shit. Like you won't feel anything. It's like, what is this doing? Well, you have to be intentional. Connect to your body, connect to the muscles, and create that intentional movement, create that connection. So after we get that good posture and we're pressing your knee into the floor, we're going to hinge forward. You're going to lean forward slightly, hold it for about 5 seconds, and then release back up again, and then repeat. Do that again, leaning forward, holding 5 seconds, relax, breathe, and then repeat. Doing that 5 to 10 times. Step 3 here, we're working on stability and strengthening and control. So the stability exercise here, we're standing on both feet. We're going to hinge at the hips and bringing one leg up. So it's kind of like a single leg balance. Arms are out to the side like a T position, keeping your core tight. If you need extra stability, then you can hold on to a bar or a wall or something. And we're going to rotate. So we open up the hips. So you're not bending towards that standing leg. You're actually twisting and rotating away from it. So we open up the hips. Your leg and foot will turn out and you're opening up until you can't anymore. And then rotating back in, back to that standing position, and then repeat. 5 to 10 each leg. So again, intentional movements, we were focusing on that stability, focusing on your core, and control. And then we move into a strengthening exercise. So we're grabbing a band and we're doing some banded walks. You're going to grab, it's the smaller bands, like the 2 bands that can go around, put them above your knees and push your knees against the band. So we want to make sure that we're not letting the band push our knees in. Okay, you're putting resistance into that band, knees slightly out, and then you're going to take 10 steps laterally one direction and then 10 steps the other. Again, kind of in that squat position and being intentional with the movement here, connecting your mind to your body and your muscles as you're doing this. Always keeping tension on that band. Feet about wider than shoulder width. And that is a sequence that you can go through. And then you can match that with any exercises. So number 1, doing that foam rolling, getting that temporary relief, breathing, calming the central nervous system. Number 2, we're working on mobility, working on that range of motion, being intentional and having that connection throughout your body and throughout the area you're working on and your muscles. And then number 3, which I guess I could have done 3 and 4. So number 3, working on stability and control with an exercise. And then number 4, a strengthening exercise. All right, and that's that. That is a quick rundown of everything I wanted to talk to you about today surrounding knee pain. There's so much more to it. Just we, again, want to make sure that we are creating mobility in those mobile joints, the ankles, the hips, the shoulders, being intentional with working on that mobility just as we are intentional with going to the gym to do weightlifting, do cardio, do our workout, because it's going to help you in the long run, overall longevity, but then also within your workouts for optimal movement, creating less pain, and just living better. And there's so many other things that you can do to help reduce pain, right? Like, of course, like what we eat, stress, doing different things for like all of that self-care stuff, but making sure that we find that root cause and then starting from there. Any of the exercises that I mentioned today, you can YouTube. There are many exercises out there. You can message me if you would like the video, and I will type out in the show notes that sequence that I ended with, so that way you can take that and use it, utilize it, apply it in your own day and in your own workouts. I'm also taking on one-on-one clients online, and I'm more trying to focus on in-person. So if you're in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota area and you would like some in-home training, that in-person training, reach out to me. Let's chat, see if I'm a good fit, see if we are a good fit, and then we can go from there. If you would like to, I have a link in the show notes for kind of like a little application and interest form. It's just like a Google form that you can fill out, or just simply message me on Facebook or Instagram. Those will also be linked in the show notes, but you can find me on Instagram at SophiaDawn41, which, by the way, if you've been here since day one, I've actually changed my Instagram handle. So I took out the underscore. It's SophiaDawn41. Facebook, full name, Sophia Dawn Nelicaroba. Good luck trying that to spell that, but I'll put that in the show notes. And that's that. I hope that this helped you in some way. If you did, I would love it if you would either leave a review or pass it on to someone else who might need this information as well. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I love you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, week, weekend. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Flow with the Grow. I'll see you next week for your daily dose of positivity and growth.